How's everybody doing tonight? Tonight will be my 23rd discussion. Tonight I'm speaking with Damian Chacon of For Your Health and Arrows in Her. He'll be using the For Your Health Instagram. Super stoked. Can't wait to talk to him. The Shin Guard For Your Health split LP last year was like tops in my book. So just waiting for Your Health to come on, and there we go. Hope everybody's good. Happy New Year. Be safe. Hope everybody's just chilling, not doing anything crazy. I want to thank everybody for watching this. It's been great. 23 discussions so far. Anybody has any suggestions who I should talk to? Send me a DM. Let me know. How you doing, Damian?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate you taking the time out to do this, especially close to the holiday. Although, I mean, a lot of people aren't doing anything for the holidays. So,
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. Yeah, I'm not really doing anything, so I'm
yeah,
just trying to get my phone, the headphones. I'm kind of deaf. My phone's not that great, so I wouldn't even hear you if I didn't have headphones, probably.
yeah. I'm not, I'm pretty
Yeah,
deaf too, but
yeah. The live shows,
yeah. So you just chilling in on New Year's, not doing much.
Yeah, I've never really been much one to go out. When I was younger, I'd go to a party or something, but I was always just like ready to be alone or whatever with a couple friends. So yeah, not doing anything. Just gonna be with my partner,
Yeah.
and you know, I'll either play some video games or go to sleep or who knows.
Yeah, yeah, same here. I'll be hanging out with my wife and two daughters. We're probably play some games, maybe watch a movie or something, just chill out. And,
Yeah.
and then the next day is my birthday, so
Oh, okay. Happy birthday.
thank you, I
So
appreciate
wait,
it.
so January 1st or
First,
2nd? First.
first,
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
First day.
yeah,
Cool.
it's great. Once that hits, it'll be my last
Oh.
day. My time's in the 40s, so
Am I on
yeah,
the For Your Health account? I'm just not. I
yeah,
didn't. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
yeah, yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So first off, usually when I talk in most podcasts and interviews and talks like that, they usually ask how you got into playing music and what you were interested in when you were a kid. So how did music grip you when you were a kid that you felt like you wanted to play?
Well. Okay. So when I was real young, as a child, like before middle school, before like sixth grade, I was into almost exclusively like salsa and cumbia, just different like music from Latin America and Caribbean, because of my grandmother and my father. Also like disco, R&B, hip hop, stuff that was on MTV. I remember being like 8 years old and seeing Smashing Pumpkins and No Doubt and stuff like that, and I was really into it. And then my mom had a boyfriend who was like he played guitar. He was he had a massive vinyl and CD collection, and he was kind of a shredder. And he got me into rock properly, I guess. Like he got me into like Sabbath and Ozzy and uh, Hendrix and Santana, especially like the '70s Santana stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember hearing Crazy Train on a commercial when I was like 11, I think, and I was just like, "Oh, that's so sick!" And he told me the lore about it, and so then I, got into, and then also at that round, a little bit after that, I guess, is when I started seeing like Corn and I guess Limp Bizkit and Slipknot and different Rage Against the Machine, like on TV, and so like I got into, like classic rock and then new metal, and then got into punk and ska and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now, was that something that always like just you loved right away when you heard music, or did it take time to kind of
Any music in general, or
yeah, any music in general? I mean, just like the R&B and disco. It's funny you say disco because my mom was a child of this, well, she was a
same.
teenager of the 60s, and she was kind of a
Okay.
hippie, and she listened to all that classic rock. And I almost, like, when I was young, like before I was 10 years old, I kind of almost rebelled against that, and
Okay.
I started listening to disco solely.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
So I was a huge disco fan when I was real young.
I
And
mean, it's fucking awesome. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think, unironically, think it's not all of it, obviously, but there's a lot of classic, great hits, great rhythmic, just stuff. My mom and my dad were both really into disco because my mom was, a teenager in the late 70s, early 80s. Same with my dad. But, and then my mom, like, always played, like, Toni Braxton and Janet Jackson and Mariah Carey and Vogue, like a lot of TLC, 90s good stuff.
yeah,
My dad kind of did too. He played like dance music, like club music too, which to me still holds a lot of like nostalgia. And I don't know if it was because of my parents, or I remember seeing like commercials in around that time, as a kid, and that had all the dance club hits.
yeah,
So I don't know, but that's always I've always kind of just like, I don't know. I know what I like and I know what I don't like, and I really can't articulate it necessarily. Even now, making music and being older, like, I just know when I like a melody and when I don't,
yeah, yeah,
and
exactly.
that goes for all the music.
So when the heavier bands started, you started liking them. Was it basically like the Rage Against the Machines and the Corn and stuff like that? Kind
Deftones.
of, did that switch your gears a little bit? Not to say you didn't like that other stuff, because I love an array of different kinds of music too. I love 80s new wave. I love disco. I love R&B. I'm a huge 90s hip hop fan.
Yeah.
I love screamo. I love metalcore. I mean, like
Yeah.
I I think it's better to like a bunch of different things, or your taste just gets stale. You know what I mean? Uh,
Right. I agree.
so were those the bands that kind of got you into the heavier vein of things?
um, I guess so. It was a weird time because like Van Halen was a weird one because like the way I think of like my discovery of I guess punk and like outside of the mainstream of what was like big in the late 90s, early 2000s, when I was in sixth grade or about to be in seventh grade, me and my mom and her boyfriend, we moved to Scranton, Pennsylvania. So that was a culture shock because I grew up in Jersey, right out like on the other side of the Lincoln Tunnel. So I was like and it was like an 80% Latino neighborhood. And then I moved to Scranton, Pennsylvania, which is like, the Rust Belt, or I don't know if it's a Rust Belt, but it's like very different.
Yeah,
Culture shock, I guess.
yeah,
But so when I moved there, early on in like middle school, seventh grade, I didn't know anybody. And yeah, like my taste, I was 12, I guess, at the time, was like, yeah, like new metal stuff, Rage Against the Machine, Deftones, Blink, Green Day, like
yeah,
kind of like mainstream alt rock or whatever, I guess you could call it. Grunge. I was really into Nirvana around that time too. And then around towards the end of seventh grade, like eighth grade, I picked up skateboarding, and I had there's a few kids in like a couple of my classes that I got to know that were like the punk rockers. They spiked their hair. They wore Dickies and like pins and patches and whatever.
yeah,
Um, and I got to know one of them in particular in my science class over Deftones, and we would always talk about Deftones, and he kind of showed me uh no effects and Propagandhi and Rancid and Operation Ivy and bands that were huge in my formal or my formation or whatever formative years. That those were bands that I still love or still have like gratitude towards. for, getting me into something that was a little off the beaten path, at least to me,
Yeah.
Um, and also another thing was, moving to Scranton, like the whole aesthetic, or, the whole message behind ska and punk, the anti-racist, the anti-capitalist, unity, and just being community, and I don't know. It's just it was definitely like, once I got a taste of that, I went full on into punk rock and hardcore, and you know, and my mom's boyfriend, he was like, he kind of hated punk. He thought it was bad. He was like a prog nerd, and like liked like fusion and tech, which is like impressive and cool for different reasons. But yeah, being 13, 14, whatever, got into real big into the punk thing for a couple years. Yeah, and that was where it started.
And now, is that when you started picking up a guitar? And I mean, did you want to pick up a guitar, or did you want to sing first, or were you like, I want to be in a band? Like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, how did the guitar playing come into the fold?
So I started, I guess, sixth grade. There was, when I still lived in New Jersey, they brought like some trumpets and some wood, brass instruments, and then they brought like drum sets, or like drum pads that you could practice on. And I remember wanting to play trumpet, and my mom's boyfriend was like, "No, don't play that." Like, whatever, some trivial reason. And I wanted to play drums, but we lived in, all apartments that were all connected, so it's like you can't really, that's kind of off the table.
Yeah.
And so, he already being a guitar player and having guitars there, he's like, "Yeah, just play guitar," and but whatever. And I remember like messing around with some of his, like, I picked it up lefty too because I'm left-handed, but I switched because he basically told me it was a good idea. But yeah, I picked it up, started messing around with it, and then he was like, "Yeah, I'll show you some stuff." He kind of did, but I just sort of, he taught me like 4 different little exercises. He showed me a couple songs, like, I don't even know, I think like an Alice Cooper song, and like basic stuff, to get me started. And then I started learning how to read tabs, and started learning punk stuff that was like pretty easy to learn. The Ramones, or like whatever, any of those classic punk bands were pretty, not too hard to figure out, especially after about a year or 2 playing. So yeah, it was around that same time where like there was a shift in my musical taste, and me picking up guitar and skateboarding, and then around that time, 8th grade, is when I first tried to be in a band. Sorry, it's like I gotta angle it because it's like, there you go. Yeah, and around that time is when I attempted to play in a band for the first time. And yeah, that was early high school. That's when it all kind of started coming together.
Yeah. And now, were you nervous when you first went out and played like your first show, or after the first show you were like, you knew that this is what you wanted to do for,
See, that I talked to, do you know Sean Decker?
I did.
Okay.
I listened to that. Yeah.
So, okay, well, I guess I just, maybe you get it. Like, I didn't really, the I don't know, like I hear people talk about like, in that moment, I knew that I wanted to be, a musician, or make music, or be in a band or whatever.
Yeah.
And I never really had that moment for maybe years, because it was like, I wasn't great, obviously. At my first attempt, I was like mediocre, just kind of starting out and young, and everybody else I was playing with were also 13, 14 years old. So we were all kids, and it's not as fulfilling when I mean, it was fun. Yeah. But it wasn't like, this is, so fulfilling, because it was like, we're playing crappy punk, not to talk shit on punk, but it was punk played badly. You know what I mean? At a novice level.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then when I moved back to Jersey, me and my best friend, he played bass, or he started playing bass. I was playing guitar, and I started singing, because there wasn't many people that we knew that did music, and it was like a long, arduous process to find a drummer, and it was damn near impossible. So like, and then I joined another punk band that was like better, but still kind of whatever.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't probably till I was like 19 or 20 when we got our one band together and we got like a ridiculously good drummer in there.
Yeah.
And got to like really hear, songs I've written or whatever, and us performing it together and it sounding really awesome and people liking it and it being tight. And, that's that at that peak is when I realized like, oh, this is incredible. This is all I really care about, which was a bummer because I'm like, oh, this is like a dead end path. Like you're not like, I'm still going to be working 40 hours a week doing something shitty probably, but at least, there's that escape or whatever.
So it was almost like you just had to find your niche. Like you kind of like, going through the earlier bands until you found something that really was like special for you, personally on a personal level where you're creating the music. You're not just like a player in a pop punk band or a street punk band where other people are, you know what I mean?
Well, it wasn't even I wrote in those bands. It was just, like I said, it was novice. Like it wasn't, I guess there's something to be said about the process of finding your style or whatever, or like discovering chords that aren't just power chords. Like that was a huge thing for me that came from playing, like, because we were playing in this ska punk band that I mentioned, and then we kicked out our singer and we started going a little bit more because the person that showed me screamo and like indie rock and like interesting stuff that was, a subgenre of a subgenre, and showed me like Blood Brothers and showed me Plot to Blow Up the Eiffel Tower, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Seisha, 1905, Orchid, Page, all that stuff, all the classics. I got to learn those, 03, 04, like not a little bit after it was happening, but like right after,
Yeah, right after, yeah.
And so when we discovered, or particularly these guys were a couple years older than me. They were like graduated high school. I was still in like sophomore year. So we started going in a little more of a like, I likened it to like At the Drive-In or Bear vs. Shark, like just a post-hardcore style.
Yeah.
Cool chords, kind of energetic, and
Yeah.
And that band, our drummer got deported, unfortunately, before we ever recorded anything, before we even played shows with this new style.
Yeah.
And so like the next band I did when I was like 18, 19 is when I actually started to make post-hardcore, whatever you want to call it, post-rock parts with like melodic parts with like, frantic stuff and,
Yeah.
There's something to be said about like everything played its part to get me to the point where I realized, oh, this is what I love to do, or that I'm even okay at doing it,
Yeah. Yeah. Now, did you go down the rabbit hole of the classic screamo stuff when you did find it?
Oh yeah, Soulseek. I was on Soulseek all the time. I had like 30,000 songs at one. Not all screamo or whatever, but
Yeah.
No, I went down the rabbit hole. Circle Takes a Square. City of Caterpillar, and Joshua Fit for Bat. There's so many bands. There was so many, either early on or like around that, 2002 through 2007 or whatever.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that when I got really into it, like I said, as a competent songwriter or something, when I was like 18, 19, 20,
Yeah.
that was like the early days of the wave bands, a lot of Spew and Touche and Pianos and all those kind of bands. Like it was like, so like I got into some bands that were like not quite part of the original 90s, club, but like Humadre or like Kid Crash or Capsule, Robotic Empire stuff, Daughters. When I heard Daughters, I fucking was like, okay, this is so sick. Because like I'd already liked the sassy stuff,
Yeah.
And so like a few years later, I was like, oh, okay, there's like, this is the sassy shit, but like extra like off the rails,
Yeah, definitely.
But also like grindcore and like mathy and groovy and uh, the newest one they put out.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
I lost you for a second there.
Oh, no, I was just saying the New Daughters record was like one of my favorite records of the decade.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I've known those guys for a long, long time. Like I said, I've talked to Lex and Nick on here, and I've
Awesome.
known those guys for 20 plus years, even before As the Sun
Well, yeah,
Sets.
you're from New England, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was born in Massachusetts, and I've been living in New Hampshire for pretty much the most of my life. So I would drive to shows everywhere. I would go to Maine, Vermont, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts. I was all over the New England area.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's so cool. So I'm assuming you saw Lightning Bolt. And,
I did see Lightning Bolt. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. I saw Lightning Bolt. I think 3 times maybe.
Hell
Rhode
yeah.
Island. Rhode Island was always a good time going down there. Daughters, Lightning Bolt, Arab on Radar. It's funny. The only time I saw His Hero Is Gone is I saw him at the Safari Lounge down in Rhode Island, which was amazing to me because I was such a His Hero Is Gone fan that
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to see him just once. But Rhode Island was always special to me.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Rhode Island, some small spot, but lots of good stuff.
Yeah, very very art like driven and just a lot different from Boston. I mean, obviously, I've been to Boston more than any place, but it's just a different place. Just a little more, I don't know, variety down in Rhode Island, I guess you would say. Boston was kind of more of a hard city where, it was like.
I feel like you could say the same about New York and New Jersey and Long Island, right? Like New York City was like, I mean, there was cool stuff, but like I feel like that was like New York hardcore. And then, you had the weird kids making screamo and emo stuff in the suburbs or like in like New Brunswick or like Long Island,
Yeah.
Or maybe they weren't even making like emo stuff, like they were just making weirder, a little more weird, a little more experimental, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. When we were talking about you going into like screamo and stuff, you also on the other side of going into the emo stuff, kind of, because Arrows in Her to me kind of sounds like a casket lottery type, like that kind of, those bands like Get Up Kids, Casket Lottery, maybe Braid, Hey Mercedes, stuff like that. Did you go down that side of the rabbit hole as well?
Yeah, no, I definitely did. It's weird because like I talked earlier at Scranton, I had a weird, like, I guess the time in which I got into the music was weird because maybe it's because we were young and we weren't so gatekeepy or like too elitist. But I remember the kids that I got into, like, I don't know, the Casualties or whatever, or like the Business or like oi bands or like, the Unseen or Choking Victim.
Yeah.
On the one hand, we liked all these like kind of fast, hard, whatever kind of bands, but then they also liked Alkaline Trio and Save the Day and Get Up Kids and like The Promise Ring. So like I early on, there was a point in time where there was a Venn diagram and I was probably equally into ska, punk, emo, and indie and screamo and hardcore or whatever. Like I was not to say that you should be like really like, oh, that sucks. But like, I remember being 14 and then seeing the older people be really annoying about they were very particular about what they liked. And they weren't into like such an, I don't know, eclectic mix of bands.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Now, were you going to shows before you, or like during when you were playing guitar?
Yeah, no. I started going when I lived in Scranton. I went to a show like 3 days a week for at least my whole freshman year in high school. That was I went to a few shows in 8th grade, but when I was like a freshman, that's when I feel like I had enough, autonomy as my mom didn't really care. Like if I didn't come home right after school or like I could come home and then leave again until, I was kind of a bad kid too. I would stay out pretty late and party and do like stupid stuff. But yeah, no, I was going to a lot of shows. Saw a band that I actually don't want to mention, but they were just like a very big Long Island band in the early 2000s. I saw them when they had no following and then they became huge. But yeah, no, I saw a bunch of cool stuff in Wilkes-Barre. There was this venue called Home Base. Um, there was another venue called Cafe Metropolis that I would see a bunch of shows at too. The place there was like this coffee shop that was like between my high school and my house, and I used to like walk home, and it was literally on the way. So I'd usually make my way with a few friends. We'd go to the mall, right after school, and then we'd go to the cafe, and they had a pool table and food and couches you could hang out on, and you could like smoke inside. And then they had shows 3 days, 4 days a week. Um, and that was the one in Scranton, Cafe del Sol. So yeah, that whole year I was just always going. I saw like Catch 22, I saw the Casualties, Clip 45, Teen Idols. I don't know. I'm just trying to Dillinger. No, I didn't see Dillinger. That I misspoke. Yeah, no, I saw a bunch of cool shows that like were mostly local shows. Like there wasn't always a lot of them were local shows, but every now and then there would be like a cool little, early 2000s band that I catch. Yeah.
Now, did you get to see any of the classic screamo stuff back then, or no?
The closest I got was in 2003 when I first moved back from Scranton. I went to see 1905 at ABC No Rio. And I don't know if they're not like really one of the classics, but they were, to me, they are one of the bands that got me into it. And I don't know if you would even, I mean, what do you consider them a screamo band? Because like they have like some folky stuff too, but I think their approach and their energy and their message was definitely along the lines of like screamo.
Yeah, I think personally, I think a lot of things just get lopped into the screamo genre. Anyways, I know I was talking to my buddy Ron about it, and it just seems like everybody is thrown into screamo. I mean, I've heard daughters, people say, "Oh, they're screamo," which they're certainly not screamo.
They're adjacent, maybe, if you want to like consider some of their stuff like emo violence, maybe, but like even then, it's a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I just think so many bands just get lopped into that genre. That's why I usually just say like they're like a punk or a hardcore band, honestly, because there's so many.
Yeah, I saw your Jeff. I saw you talking to Jeff about it.
Yeah.
And the thing was, like, I guess maybe since I wasn't part of the original wave, by the time in 03, 04, when I first heard it, I don't think I heard of it like referred to as screamo. But like I said, when I rediscovered it and got on SoulSeek, like when I was a little like 18, 19, that's when I guess that was around the time the Scrams thing, that Scrams like was a little bit later, the joke of it, right? Yeah. But no, I mean at that time, like I remember referring to like Thursday as screamo, so it's stupid. But yeah.
When I was talking to Jeff, when I saw Jerome Stream the first time, and I saw Seisha and bands like that, I didn't. There was nobody calling any kind of thing screamo back then. It was just, like I said, a hardcore punk band. And I can't remember when I first heard screamo, the name. But I mean, it went with it, and then all of a sudden, bands like Asking Alexandria were so you couldn't tell the difference. Like,
yeah, it was almost like a honeypot. Like, yeah, I love screamo, and then you wait for the response, and if they say Suicide Silence, it's like, you're not elite. You don't know the real shit. You don't know. I feel like if maybe it was just a contrarian thing, and it kind of falls in line with the aesthetic in a way. Like,
yeah, true.
Yeah.
So how did Arrows in Her start?
Well, so like I said, my best friend Edward started playing bass. We started playing together in, I guess, sophomore year in high school, or like not even. Like he picked up the bass. Like I would come home because my grandmother lived in Jersey, so I would visit in the summer. He picked up the bass like maybe end of 8th grade, and then I moved back beginning of sophomore year. Sorry, I moved around a lot, so it's a little extra thing to the story. But so when I moved back, he was like semi-competent at it. And then we started making songs. Both of us sucked. We were terrible. But, trying to write ska punk songs in like Misfit style, or like Screeching Weasel, trying to make like the cool pop punk, not the, I don't know, like Phoenix TX or whatever. And then I joined a band, and then we just like always played together. But we did, like I said, that band when I was like 19, and it got the first really good drummer and good recordings and all that. That's when, like, I feel like we were all at a point where we could start writing songs that were pretty cool. And a couple between that band breaking up and Arrows and Her, about 3 years passed or something like that. And then, yeah, I mean, he was, no matter what, like, me and him were going to be in a band together. Like, every incarnation just about was me and him and then other people.
Yeah.
And so we started in the end of 2011. We, our friend Harold played synth in our friends, in like a band that we were friends with.
Yeah.
And, but he also played drums, and we were going through a drought of finding a good drummer. And it was me, Edwin, and his cousin Roger, who played guitar, as well. And, yeah, we kind of started jamming out, and yeah, we like knocked out like 4 songs pretty quickly, and then started playing shows. And then what the summer of 2012 is when we recorded, and then we released our stuff, our first EP, Leaving, in the end of the summer 2012. Yeah.
And that was the very first thing you guys released, right? Leaving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which has quite how many songs is on that? It's like
6
songs, right?
One
Yeah, so.
really kind of like forgettable instrumental, but yeah, it's really 5 songs. And then we just threw an instrumental, just kind of like, I don't know why we did that. Just, I guess, to make it feel like a little bit more of a proper release, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Trying to get the most songs for our buck, you know?
And right now, what's the status of that band right now?
Well, you know, it's been hard because I moved to Columbus 3 years ago. So, you know, I'm still really close. I mean, those are still my best friends, Gigi, Edwin, and Nick. Nick and Gigi both live in Philly. Edwin still lives in Jersey, and I live in Columbus. And then, you know, For Your Health, we got, you know, we were touring a shitload before. And, you know, I mean, obviously COVID is, who knows when anything. But once COVID is like, you know, everyone gets vaccines and like tours can happen and whatever, that's going to take up a lot of my time. And Gigi plays bass in Soglo. So both of us are going to be on the road probably.
Yeah.
I've kind of left it open-ended. We broke up like when I moved here, basically officially, but I kind of knew the band was going to be done like by November, December of 2016. So like, I don't want to like end it because these are still my best friends, and you know, if given the opportunity, we'll make some music together. But I don't know if we're going to release any more music under that name.
Yeah.
And the thing that is kind of like weird about it is like, oh, you gotta, you know, changing a name or like creating a new project. It's like from the ground up, kinda. You know, like you got a lot more steps and work to put in. So it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know, but I am like doing a couple things with Edwin, and it's all like real low. Thank you. Really low maintenance, nothing set in stone. But now that I have like, we all got computers and an interface and microphones, and you know, we could at least. Up until COVID, I hadn't had that opportunity to like have a little home studio to like shell out ideas and send it to my friends and write music that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So creation wise, like with COVID, I know it sucks for everybody, but you know, on a creation level, has it helped you like just you know, work on things that you wanted to work on, or you know what I mean, just kind of. I know you guys did the Hate 56 video, which was amazing too.
Yeah, that was
I know
fun.
you guys have been kind of busy too, but not too busy, obviously. But basically, my question is, did it give you a chance to kind of, you know, take a breath, see what you wanted to work on, and kind of, you know, take some time to do it?
Yeah, no, for sure it did. Like, it was pre-COVID. You know, last year we toured I don't know, over 100 dates or about 100 dates. We did like 2 month-long things and, uh, back to back basically. So like we were on the road a lot. And then when we weren't out, like I had 2 jobs. I was working 5, 6 days a week in service. I was a bar back and then I was a server bartender at another spot.
Yeah.
So like before COVID, I was just working nonstop and then we'd have tour. And then the tour started going a lot better. Or not even a lot better, but they just gradually, each time, it was just the tour was a little bit better,
Yeah.
And so it was getting to the point where I was like, oh, wow, okay. Like right before COVID hit, it was like, oh, okay, like I might, the last 2 tours I was able to pay my rent. Like I'm not even trying to flex or say anything, but it was
Yeah.
the idea of like, oh, I could tour and make, some money and like be able to like at least like not have to work 6 days a week when I'm not on tour,
Yeah.
And then COVID hit and, it, it's a dual-edged sword. There's a lot of good and bad happening just at large in society, right? Because of this. So I think that my life is no different than, a lot of people's experience. Like on the one end, well, the thing is that some people never stopped working, and that's a whole other issue and is sad and like it's infuriating and it sucks. But people that were like, 20 million plus people in this country, well, or you could even say worldwide, that like got the first few months with unemployment, with the boost and the stimulus and stuff. Like, yeah, it was kind of like almost like, I don't know, poetic, not poetic, but like it just felt weird that, oh, this pandemic that's, sweeping across the country that, this administration and the government can't handle and is being super negligent. But here's this little, everybody got like, okay, here, you need this because right now you can't work. So here. And it was kind of interesting to see that how many people who are super poor working, ungodly hours got a chance to stay at home and be creative and get money and not have to worry about money and not have to worry about these things. It was just like, oh, the government, this is what a government kind of should do, like it should take care of its citizens. Obviously, I don't want to get too into like a political thing, but it's like, okay, like healthcare should be a right. That's a given. And, and here's the consequence of that. Almost 500,000 people dead by the end of this, probably, over 330. So it's like a weird thing because there's like this, it's very dark and there's a lot of things that were bad, but then there's these silver linings and like, one of them was like I was able to not work 6 days a week and I was able to get my laptop and some musical stuff and I was able to record some music and, we were able to, it's like we were able to write a record and blah, 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 right? It's like, so it's like, it's hard to, this time is, and then on top of that, the uprisings and, protests and like, it's been a beautiful thing to see solidarity and it's been beautiful to see people fighting for justice. But then it's been real dark because you've seen the really ugly side of society as well with white nationalists and, just a lot of austerity and cruelty and negligence. So it's like, it's hard, because like you feel this passion that's great in some ways and then this like just dark. And I think it's good because it's like things are illuminated and like I think a lot more people's perspective is like, oh, this world is very flawed and it's not working. And when you compare to other countries, it's like, oh, they take care of, you get your time off, you get your allowance, you get most of your wages. They take care of small businesses. They kept it under control. They did the right thing. And it's just you see that like stark comparison, and I think that's important to maybe get things on the right track. And that's me being optimistic.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I agree. I mean, the not to get, I don't really talk politics on here at all, but like, I mean, in all honesty, I think a $600 stimulus slap in the face is something that's crazy. I mean, especially if people aren't working and like you said, they don't have health care and stuff like that, and what the hell is $600 going to do for somebody that's got to pay rent, that's got to eat, that's got to do all this shit? It's I mean, it's sad, but on the other hand too is like I'm trying to keep a positive mental attitude all the time, and just try
Yeah.
to stay positive. I have a family to take care of, and
Yeah.
I just don't want to be down, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to uplift people when I talk to them, and just try not to have them see the shitty side of society.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And these talks have helped me in a positive way too, because in quarantine I was, I'm working 6 days a week,
Yeah.
but I'm bored as hell at home.
Right. You
I'm
can't
playing
go
with my
out.
kids
You
and this,
can't see your
yeah,
shows, and
yeah. So I started doing this, and it's helped my mind in a positive way, and like in turn, I've met a bunch of great people. I mean, a lot of the people I've known, but like you, the first time talking to you, it's great. I mean,
yeah. Yeah.
it's very positive to me, and it feels
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Um,
They're great. I caught a few of them, and they're so grad. And what Gene does as well. I don't know if that's their name, but
well,
Gene
his name
Scene.
Ron. Yeah, Ron.
Ron. Okay. See, I feel bad. I didn't know his name, but I just always Gene Scene Creamers.
Yeah.
But it's funny. The first time I saw one of your videos was Lowell from Frail Body, uh, and I caught 15 minutes of it, but it was because it was right before um, Eric from JD was on Ron's,
Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and then I saw you and Jeff's fully, yeah, and I've watched a couple more, yeah,
Well, thank
more
you. Like,
clips, yeah.
Ron actually gave me like the inspiration to do this, because I had followed him, and then I started seeing him do these talks,
Mm-hmm.
and then I listened to, on top of that, I was listening to Microspy with Eric from Jerome's Dream,
I
and
gotta watch that.
well, I mean, it's a podcast, but it's
No,
like
I mean that's what I meant. Yeah, I gotta listen to that. I've been meaning to check it out. That's what I meant. Yeah.
and those two guys together, I know a lot of people in the scene, and stuff like that. I've been around for a long time. I played in some small screamo bands and stuff like that, and I was just those guys inspired me to do what I'm doing now, and I think it's awesome, and a lot of people have like asked.
You should maybe do a podcast, because I mean these are awesome, but at least, and I mean you keep them on your Instagram, but maybe an accompanying kind of podcast would be really cool.
Yeah, me and Ron were talking about kind of going in together and doing a podcast,
That'd be super awesome.
and,
Yeah.
and all these talks that I do now, I shoot up on YouTube too. So if anybody's like watching,
Oh, okay.
all this stuff's on YouTube. If they just want to search Hal Capone,
Okay.
it's up
I
there.
didn't know that. That's awesome. I'm really excited. Now, all I do right now is, not all I do, but a lot of what I do is on my couch watching YouTube stuff, like gaming stuff sometimes, and like
Yeah,
political stuff, but then also like, you know,
yeah.
I'll check out like a podcast that's like the E-word podcasts that are up there, and
I get I get caught up in YouTube holes for sure. I start like
yeah.
looking, and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna look up something for 5 minutes, and then 2 hours later, my wife's like, "What are you doing up there?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm coming. I just got caught up."
Time is literally it's all right. So I'm not even like it's just the way time has passed during quarantine is unlike anything I ever experienced. I'm gonna tab the record. I got you. Hayden said. Hayden wants me to like write up the tabs for our songs. I've got nothing else going on. I got to do it. But yeah, no, the way time passes, like literally 4 hours will pass, and it'll feel like half an hour.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Time has been crazy. Speaking of For Your Health, how did you get with those guys? How did that happen?
So I met Hayden. I was working at a vegetarian vegan restaurant serving. It was like kind of a brunch spot. And I met Hayden because I started talking to Hayden's friend Marita about a gouge away thing, a gouge away hoodie they had, or a shirt. And then, Hayden comes back, and then I was like, yeah, it was I was talking about my friends, a band I was playing. I played very briefly in a band that was, friends with them and stuff like that. And we just talked for, I don't know, however long, half an hour. And then Hayden would come in pretty frequently, I don't know, every week or every couple weeks. And then we'd talk and talk. And then Hayden played in this band with a person that I actually knew, I think through Arrows on Facebook, just happenstance. And it came out to a show they played. and talked to Hayden and this person Cameron, and we were like, oh yeah, like screamo makes some screamo music. Because I played for like a few months. I was in like a kind of hardcore punk power violence type band for a second, and then it broke up and it was fine. But so I was like, yeah, let's make some heavy music. Like that's what I was interested in making. I guess it was kind of a juxtaposition or like an extreme opposite of like the stuff I was doing before.
Yeah.
And not singing and writing lyrics, just making guitar stuff, which is awesome.
Mm.
You know, I felt very limited by having to also make vocal melodies and lyrics. Honestly, it was weird. Like it just added to the process that made me like write less, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sorry, I'm just kind of skipping, going all over. My brain's all frazzled. Met Hayden, talked about doing screamo, and then I lost that job. I was out in Jersey on a visit. I came out when I was there for like a week or something. Lost my job. First day I was over there, bummed out, and then Hayden, like also parted ways with the band, and they were about to go on tour playing drums for this band, and Hayden was just like, let's make some like heavy music or whatever. I don't forget exactly the phrase, but it was like an Instagram DM or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm down because I'm pissed, but also I have a lot of time on my hands now because I was working 5-6 days a week, and now I don't have a job, so
Yeah.
why not? And they were also booking. They had a show house. I went to a bunch of shows, and I honestly think like my I don't know, the spark to go back into music or playing music came from actually going to a few of the house shows that Hayden was throwing. So that was I mean, a lot of what happened with For Your Health was like there was catalysts that was popping up that led to what For Your Health went on to do months before the band started. And and they had a show booked. They needed a band, so we started a band, and that was it. And then so Sandro was Hayden's roommate, and was there the first day I came to jam with Hayden. And Hayden originally was just kind of like doing something on drums, and I was doing guitar. And then Sandro, nasty drummer, super good. He plays in and was playing in a like proggy kind of yacht rock band, but super just fucking goes off,
Yeah.
And I remember seeing like a month after we started playing with Sandro, or 2 months, there's a Halloween show that they covered like Black Sabbath, and he was just fucking going in. It was awesome. But yeah, so then he came down, started jamming. We did a bunch of songs, like real just throwaway shit, but it sounded kind of cool. And then I was like, yeah, this is cool. And then Johnny came the next day. Johnny was Hayden's friend, who was from Michigan and moved with his girlfriend to go to school. And yeah, Johnny DeBoard. I don't know if he's in here, but yeah.
And so did that. How did living in Scranton get you to Columbus? Like, was Hayden from Columbus originally? Like, how did you guys end up in Columbus?
So, well, I lived in Scranton years ago, and I was mostly living in Jersey. And then I moved here 3 years ago, 2017, from Jersey, and came here to like stop touring or just kind of like get financially figured out, because I took a beating touring for 2016. I toured the most I'd ever toured, and I just was not. And Jersey was so expensive that it was just kind of, I was broke, and I needed to figure shit out. And I had a friend that was out here that was like, it was kind of a long distance thing, but we were also friends, and I visited a few times, and I really liked it. But I'd always liked Ohio when I would tour through here.
Yeah.
I always got along with Akron people, Kent people. Those were the places I usually had gone. But I always liked Ohio. I knew it was cheap. I knew that there was some pretty cool bands. A lot of venues, and there's a lot of house venues. There used to be a lot of house venues. And then there's a lot of, smaller cap venues, but there's a lot of live music. There's cool cafes, and it's cheap comparatively. Like literally my cost of living got cut in half just moving here. And I made the same or more money than I did in Jersey. So yeah, no, it was a life decision. to ironically get away from the very thing I'm doing. But I love it.
Yeah.
I was just jaded. There was a lot of bad experiences that were like kind of had nothing to do with playing music or making music. It was more so the other stuff about like putting out music and touring, and I didn't like it. I had a bad taste in my mouth, kind of like what Jeff was saying about
Yeah.
why he stopped screaming for Presents, because he was just kind of like, fuck y'all. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how I felt about a lot of the bands in the scene. I didn't like, I mean, I'm not trying to talk shit. I am talking shit, but I just was not having a good time in the scene, and I had a bunch of issues with um, just the way shit went down. And,
Yeah.
that's still a thing. But obviously I'm, you know, I feel like the good experiences with For Your Health have just outweighed everything that I did not care for about the scene, 4 years ago or 5 years ago or 6 years, 8 years ago, basically. Like 8 years ago through 5 years ago, I had issues with it, a lot of it. Still do, but, I've seen a lot of growth. I've seen the community, and I've seen, just super incredibly nice people that are really about community, I guess, for lack of a better word, if not to be cliche or corny, but
Yeah.
it's definitely been a positive thing. And I've,
And the first thing you guys put out was the demo in 2018, right?
yeah. So those three songs are just Nosebleed songs, not mixed, right?
Yeah.
But this is about that the first recording there. I think it's what's it called? Plane engine. We call it plane engine. A plane engine crashed through my ceiling. I forgot the proper title. Hayden probably did too, maybe. But yeah, that's actually a take, totally different guitar take on a different guitar, totally different drum take, totally different drum beat in some spots, totally different vocal take, because we recorded it in like 2 days, and like in the second day he lost that recording. So like we had it in a folder that we got the first day, and then by the time we went to record the rest of it, I don't know if maybe I shouldn't disclose this, but I did. I did it. It's not. I mean, what's so
I
controversial
mean,
about that? It's
yeah,
slightly
but
different, so it actually is a little bit
yeah.
cooler to listen to. I like it.
No,
It's fine.
I like it too. I like it too.
I think it's perfectly placed in the discography.
Um, how did you guys hook up with Shingard doing the Death of Spring split?
Oh, that was a cool thing. And like I talked about, like catalysts that were happening months before. Like we got to know the short fictions people. Uh, like I met them, what, 2 months before we even started jamming together, and it was because like, oh, I'm sorry. Wait, give me a second. Give me a second. I forgot. I'm so sorry. I forgot the song title. I'm sorry. We literally always call it Plane Engine. Um, no, I was crushed by a falling plane engine through the ceiling. I think that's what it's called. I'm sorry. Uh,
I know what song you're talking about. I do
yeah, it's
know.
the first one on Nosebleeds. That's
Yeah.
kind of dancey one. So yes, we got to know short fictions. I got to know a couple of them. They knew Arrows, and we were friends and stuff. It was cool, and seeing them made me like, oh, kind of gave me that itch to like, yeah, I want to play again.
Yeah.
Um, and then we did our first tour with them, and they're from Pittsburgh. And then we played Pittsburgh. We heard Shingard for the first time. Our jaws dropped, like they were shredding.
Yeah.
And yeah, they really seemed to be on this. They liked us a lot. And then Hayden and Owen just made it happen. They really went for it. And yeah, no, it was all very organic and cool. It was our first out of town show, so it's like, they were our first people that we played with outside of Ohio.
Yeah.
Columbus, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first thing I heard from For Your Health was the Shin Guard split, and the first song that hits with the Good Grief Charlie Brown sample
Yeah.
right there hooked me right off the bat. I heard that, and then
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
a
"Holy shit, what is this? I need to listen to this more." And then I dove into Nosebleed and the demo too.
hell
So
yeah.
I was hooked from then on. So
Nice.
and you guys toured with Shin Guard for a little while, right?
A month. Yeah, like full East Coast except for South Carolina. But we played North Carolina twice, kind of. But yeah, so
And then
yeah,
you did a tour with Jillian Carter as well.
that was this year. Yeah, we did like, I mean, I forget how long. It was like a 3-week tour, and like about 2 weeks of it, maybe, or 10 days of it was with Jillian Carter. Yeah, from like Panama City, Florida, and then we went to Texas and back. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
you guys were touring like crazy in 2019. The Frail Body 2 was another tour you guys did, right?
9 days. Yeah, that was in December, so a little more than a month before, roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really great tour. It's literally one of my favorite memories, honestly, because we went to Canada and went my first time in Montreal, and it was just really cool. It the architecture was interesting. Everybody was speaking French, and I don't know, it had like a gothic feel because like the buildings looked real. I don't know,
Yeah.
it was interesting. It was just real cool,
How was
and just,
how was the reception up there for you?
oh, it was great. It was amazing. Honestly, every Canada show was above and beyond anything I would have expected to go out of the country for the first time.
Yeah.
Uh, it was really cool, and some really great bands too. Karloff,
Yeah,
yeah, and
Karloff
Mar
is
Noir. I forget how to pronounce it, but yeah, they're Marie Noir. I don't know. They're really
right.
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was really good turnout. I mean, it was two shows. It was Toronto and Montreal.
Montreal, yeah.
So it was short and sweet and pretty awesome.
So
Yeah.
are you ready to like in spite of, are you ready for that to come out? And I mean, I'm dying to hear it, honestly. The single Birthday Candles and Effigy is I love the video too. Did you guys switch a little bit in not really switch because you guys sound basically the same, but is there something different in that album that you guys weren't doing before, or
I mean, yeah. Well, so
without disclosing anything? Not
I
too
mean,
much.
no. I mean, yeah. I guess I got to think about what I say, but um, no. Like, if you read the Stereo Gum, we did a stereo. Well, Hayden did a Stereo Gum interview, so there's a lot there that is pretty telling of like what you could kind of expect in a way.
Yeah.
There's a there's like a good handful of melodic parts, but I don't think it's like, it's also extremely, like, I don't want to say, I don't know. I don't want to say that like it's extremely heavy or something, but
Yeah.
it's just heavy and also melodic and also mathy, but also, not over complicated. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a good time. I'm very excited for people to hear it.
Yeah. Well, that's the good thing. I think that's the great thing about you guys is like you guys can play melodic and then all of a sudden you get hit with like a chaotic, spastic like blast. You know what I mean? And that's what drew me to you guys in the first place because I'm like a lover of heavy music and you guys, blew me away when I first heard you. The same thing with Shin Guard and all the new bands that have been coming out in the past like 3-4 years. I mean, not that it's a resurgence of the scene or whatever, because there's always been good bands out there. But I feel like there's more bands now that are just doing awesome things and just sounding, amazing. Such talented musicians out there now, and it feels like the old days of, like you said, the classic screamo days when I was going to shows. It's almost like that now, except with COVID fucking everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 2020 could have been the year. You know what I mean?
Honestly, a lot of screamo feels like some foreboding, telling us that 2020 was coming.
Mm.
If you think about it, but when you were talking about resurgence of like the old scene, I couldn't help but think like kind of to what you were talking about earlier with like bridging the gap between like the emo stuff, the emo revival stuff, and the classic emo, like you said, Braid and Get Up Kids and stuff or whatever, American football, whatever. There was like a time, I think it was when I was like 19 or 20 years old. There's video of it. If you go back in '08, first time I saw Street Smart Cyclist and Algernon Cadwallader in a park in Brooklyn. And on that same show was this band called Osceola and Boy
Oh yeah.
Problems. But Osceola was the vocalist of Tunes for Bears to Dance To, which was Capsule's old screamo band from Florida.
Yeah.
And they were, I think, Robotic Empire too, or they were, that I found out about it, I don't really know which one I found out about first. But yeah, so like that was like an interesting time because like Algernon was when I first heard like the real, like not when I first heard, but it was early on in my love for like the twinkly stuff
Mm.
from like '07, '06, like Grown Ups and I don't know if Grown Ups is out yet, but or fuck, what was it, like an earlier band like Street Smart Cyclist.
Which sadly, I wish they put out a little bit more music
They
because
were really cool.
they were cool.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Castavet comes to mind. I think. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like an earlier band that wasn't like quite the 2010s. I think Joie de V's earliest stuff, which I also love that band. I don't know if you ever heard them from Chicago. Snowing was like after Street Smart, so yeah. But Snowing was like a couple years after when I'm talking about specifically, like '07, '08.
Yeah, that's kind of when I stopped going to shows. I think I was in a few bands and we stopped playing around 2006, 2007, and then I kind of just had like a bad taste in my mouth for going to like hardcore punk shows, and I started going to hip hop shows solely,
Okay.
just for I think I went for 8 years straight just going to hip hop shows, and recording as much as I could, and then like I said in my couple other talks, maybe 3 years ago, I got the fever again to go and see heavy bands again. And then I started going full force again because I missed it. But I've always listened to it all, through that stretch where I wasn't going to shows. But I just, you know what I mean? It was something that, I don't know. It felt like to me that I was listening to the same stuff over and over again, and nothing really like caught my ear. Not like it has been now, you know what I mean? I don't know what it is. It could just have been, who's to say? I don't really know.
Yeah.
But
Well, I gotta say too, though, honestly, and I mean, even though I'm a bit older, my like Hayden and Sandro are both like 21 when the band started, and it's just like there's a new generation that like I don't know, the Zoomers, they got some ideas, and it's pretty cool, and it's cool like mixing our band because like Mike, we met. I think on our like sixth show when we were in Maryland, and Mike's now our drummer. So like we're all Hayden's the odd one out, being the one in the early 20s, but Shin Guard and Foxtails, and like there's these bands that are doing fucking off the wall shit that is so good.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I love Diana Kralls too. That they're like doing something different too. That sounds really good too.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, honestly, like if I looked at every tour date that we've had, I mean, more times than not, one out of every four, I could probably find a band or two or three that were fucking incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying, like just the amount of talent, creativity, but also the quality of the people as far as a lot of factors, but they just are all around, about the right things and making really cool, interesting, just challenging, I don't know, good stuff.
Yeah, it's like you said with Community. It feels that's why I was saying it kind of felt like the old vibe, because community was kind of like a big thing back then as well, and a lot of important issues were, agreed like in that community, and now it feels like the same thing. It just seems like a very positive and like very nice scene now. You know what I mean?
It really is.
When sometimes it wasn't, because although I come from a metalcore background too, where
Yeah.
when I was a teenager, I was like in the mosh pit doing stupid meathead stuff and stuff like that. But that's that's here or there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I've seen a lot in my life, as less than you, I'm sure, but like I've seen the thing. There was honestly, I could say that there was a good chunk of years where I felt very uncomfortable playing shows, and part of me wonders how much of it was my own like mental health and how much of it was like feeling insecure and being weird, like not feeling accepted or not feeling good or feeling excluded or feeling, I don't know, isolated or whatever. And as a participant, not even as just going to shows, but playing music and amongst other bands and stuff. And yeah, there was years there that were really, I don't know, just felt real weird, competitive, toxic, problematic, whatever. A lot of bad shit that, left a bad taste in my mouth, honestly. And yeah, compared to that experience in my life, I'm different now. I feel like, I like to believe I've grown too. So maybe that's what is allowing me to accept, not is allowing me to enjoy, or I don't know, feel welcomed. Maybe it was just a mental block, but I don't really think it was.
Yeah.
Some of it might have been, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of clicks back in the day too, as well. You know what I mean? I've talked about it. I mean, I used to, like I still do. I'll dress more youth crew, '88 style, like, and I have been, dressing like that forever, because that's just the way my style is. And then I go to, say I'd walk into, a daughter's show, and I don't look like anybody else in there. You know what I mean? Because I'm wearing basketball shorts and you know what I mean, like a champion hoodie and stuff like that. So
that's fucking comfortable.
Yeah, it is comfortable.
I respect that.
So I mean, it was a lot of clicks back then, and I got a lot of looks and stuff like that. But whatever, it was like, didn't bother me. But it's just, that's the sad kind of things in the scene that just like, I accept everybody for who they are, what they look like, or it doesn't matter to me. It's just kind of, those clicks were kind of kept me.
What I like about it now is I feel like that's a given. Like that is not even, that is, I don't know. I feel like there's an understanding that is like the bare minimum to be accepting of people, no matter who they are. Whereas like that was like, the omission of awfulness at a show was like a blessing back in the day. Whereas now it's like, what are you doing? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No.
Like,
totally.
like now it's like that is like just to be expected, and then it could be a very beautiful thing of communicating art and performing and good conversations about anything and everything, and getting making friendships and stuff. That's all very positive and lovely, and I don't think that was even close to a thing. I think there's a lot of, I don't know, especially in Jersey, seeing just people being real macho, real, I don't know, like just really disingenuous, and just I get it, but no, it sucks. It's a bummer. So that's what it feels like, after doing all these things. Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely.
So I don't want to take up all your time tonight, and so at the end, I usually do a little rapid fire question.
Let me just check where I'm at. If
I just lost you for a sec. Should be popping back on. Hold on.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I just, it was 1%. I was at 1%, so I was like, oh yeah, let me get that real quick. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all
no,
right. Like I
just
was
all right.
saying, yeah, I usually throw a little rapid fire at the end.
Okay.
So my first question is favorite New England punk or hardcore band. New England is Maine, Vermont, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire.
Oh, wow. Okay. Punk or hardcore? Is that what you said?
Yeah, or in the heavy vein, screamo, whatever you want to call it, just like the.
Shit, that's a good and kind of hard question. Um, fuck. Damn. I gotta think about this.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of people say Converge, a
I
lot of
would say Daughters probably, but I
yeah,
don't want to just immediately go to Daughters, you know.
yeah.
But maybe probably Daughters, honestly. Yeah.
All right, my second question is, what was the first punk hardcore show you attended? As like when you walked in and you saw the first hardcore show, what was it?
I wouldn't call it hardcore, but I would definitely call it punk. Casualties at home base when I was 14. Yeah, in 2001, something like that.
That's a good first.
Yeah, yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
All right, my third question: all-time favorite punk hardcore show, screamo show you played in a band. Like, what was
Ooh,
you could give me one or two of your favorites that you played and was like, oh, this was an amazing show.
okay. I definitely have a lot of those. Fuck.
Or you could give me three, whatever.
Okay, I got three pretty easy. Yeah, no, I got three pretty easy. Fuck, I got four pretty easy. All right. First one, Arrows in Her. Actually, I'm gonna give you five. I'm sorry,
All right.
because these are all pretty awesome. So real quick, because it was technically a more stacked lineup, but to me the significance of it, I'm gonna put something after this one. So Loma Prieta and Good Time Boys, Bridge Nine Band.
I don't know if I've heard.
I think that's what they're called. Yeah, they were kind of cool. They were from the UK.
Yeah,
And Prawn. I don't know if you know Prawn,
I've
emo
heard of them.
post rocky kind of band
Yep.
yeah. So that was in a basement in Montclair, New Jersey, 2013. So it was a good time. It was like within the first year of the band. It was really cool. A lot of people,
Yeah.
really good bands. Obviously, I loved Sailboats, so I listened to Sailboats honestly probably more than Loma, but I do like Loma. I've listened to them for years.
Yeah.
They're cool because cool West Coast stuff. And then after that one, ABC No Rio, this band Wet Petals from New Paltz. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
They're awesome. I guarantee you'll like it. They broke. I think that was like one of their last shows, almost. Like they had a couple after that, maybe.
Yeah.
And that was ABC No Rio, which is like one of the first 10, like kind of like punk. Like it was like as far as screamo shows, like that was like I said when I saw 1905, that might have been the last time I was there.
Yeah.
So it was kind of surreal and awesome. And then it was with Gatherers, and that was also in 2013. So those are two like incredible shows. Wet Petals like blew me away. Yeah, I did see them. It was awesome. They were so good. I have an Instagram story that I sometimes go and revisit and listen to. It's some of my favorite music that I've heard live.
Yeah, I got to check them out. I've never heard of them.
And it was another band, Polyphony from Jersey. They were a screamo band. They were pretty cool. And then with For Your Health, we did a Philly show with Shingard, Binary, Supine, and then Soul Glow did a surprise set. That was epic. And then we did another Philly set. This was before. This was like our first tour. in January. It was Short Fictions, it was Soul Glow, and it was Supine, if I'm not mistaken. And that
Yeah.
was really awesome. And that's on YouTube, that show.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So
I'll have to look it up.
So those are I mean, and honestly, playing like with Senza, every night with Senza was jaw dropping, amazing,
Yeah,
fucking incredible.
Sick. Yeah, they're
Hayden
so
saying
good.
no, so maybe I was wrong about some of the lineup, but some of the lineup was good. Oh, Hayden doesn't like. I don't know. I'm just gonna be quiet. But yeah.
All right. My next question: Did you guys ever play? Actually, did you guys ever play New Hampshire?
Yeah, we did.
You play in Manchester?
Yes. No, yes, we did.
Manchester.
And it was my memory's a little shaky. It was chill. It's a basement show.
Yeah.
Oh, Kissies. Shit. Sorry. I got my brain. I feel like we played with Supine multiple times in Philly, but I don't know.
Yeah. All right. My next question now. What was the last movie you watched? I'm a big movie guy, so what was the last movie you watched?
Okay. Interesting. So, what was it? I watched a movie with Hayden a few days, like not very long ago. It was like, I think it was called King. It was with Timothy Chalamet
Oh yes, I've
and
seen that. It's on
Robert
Netflix.
Pattinson.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
that
all right.
was all right. I mean, it was like what I got
Based
from it
on the
was
real story.
the thing was right. But you expect that, but the battle sequence though was very realistic looking.
Yeah.
I'm like, that kind of looks like it probably would look like that, and that's fucking scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
I was pleasantly surprised with the battle scenes in that. I thought it was going to be cheesy when I first put it on, and then it turned out to be a pretty decent movie.
yeah, no, I did not hate it. I'll tell you that. But like, yeah, that was the last. I caught some of. I forgot. I watched The Mandal. Like, no, I didn't. I haven't been really watching movies. I watch The Simpsons and stuff like that now.
Yeah. All right. My next question: all-time favorite horror movie?
But, damn. I feel like my answer sucks, but I enjoyed this movie, Insidious. That shit was scary. I don't know. The idea of it was scary,
Yeah.
but it's not that scary. But I don't know. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'll say that one because I'm not like a big movie head. I'll admit.
Yeah.
I wish I was a little more like, A24, Werner Herzog and stuff like that. But I'm just kind of.
Yeah, A24 puts out some incredible stuff. I think the last movie I watched last night with my wife was have you heard of the movie Skin?
No.
It's basically about a movie about a Nazi skinhead that gets kind of he doesn't want to do it anymore, and he has this guy helping him to kind of deprogram from that and get away, and his the Nazis that he's in the gang with don't want to let him go, so they start like messing with like the family that he started afterwards and stuff like that. It's pretty
like
decent.
A psychological like kind of thriller like
it's not really
revenge thing, or is it like a reformation redemption arc kind of thing?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, and it's actually a real story.
Okay.
The skinhead guy has tattoos all over his face, and then they show the guy at the end in the credits, the real guy that they took all his tattoos off. He went through the tattoo removal thing and just kind of got his life in gear, and then he was like and then was totally against racism after the fact that this guy helped him out and kind of deprogrammed him from the shitty ways that he was doing things. It was actually very interesting, but A24 put it out.
All right. Is that on? Maybe I'll check that out. Is that
that's on
Netflix?
it's on Amazon Prime if you have that.
Nah, I don't. But You know, maybe if I'm ever at a on tour or something, I'll look it up because I don't like Amazon, and I
Yeah.
already got enough subscriptions, so it's like no thanks. I don't.
Yeah, no, I hear you. My final question is, if you've been listening to hip hop at all, what have you been listening to for hip hop, and what do you enjoy for hip hop? Because, like I said before with you, I'm a huge hip hop guy. I don't really like the new trap ish kind of hip hop, but
Right.
uh,
I like some of it, honestly.
I mean, some of it
And
is okay. But
and what I think like I like about it is like it feels more musical, like with just like the synth and the exploration of like I don't know, the 808s really just do some shit. It's really groovy and I don't know, it gets real. I don't know. I really like the rhythms and like some of the melodies are just real just they hit, they're real like there's some good stuff out there that I've heard. Not that I like follow it closely really.
yeah,
I listen to a lot of like chill like bedroom indie and like um I'll listen to Daughters sometimes and Soul Glow when I'm like fucking like I don't know. I got like a few things that I listen to that I don't know aren't uh I guess I don't know like that every now I'll listen to I don't know I'll listen to like Tribe Called Quest sometimes or like uh,
yeah,
I have some vinyl that's really like Dead Prez and stuff like that,
yeah,
uh, Biggie and Wu Tang and stuff like that. But I'm not like on the current, But
yeah,
I feel like I think that there's cool stuff coming up in that too.
yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, I agree with you with the synth sound and the beats of the new stuff. It's just the lyrics that like totally kill me in the new
right.
stuff.
It's not as much wordplay and just interesting cadences and stuff. Like I know what you're saying. I
Yeah,
I feel like I know what you're saying.
yeah,
Like Nas or like Onyx or like fucking I don't know Souls of Mischief. I heard you mention them last week. I love them and
yeah,
like yeah, no, there's a certain vibe that's it's classic. It's great, and that's
yeah,
my favorite era as well. But newer shit that I like too is like I liked Denzel Curry and like Vince Staples and stuff like that.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah, those are. Is it like all time? Are you saying all time?
No, no, just if you what have you been playing in
Oh, gotcha.
lately? Just what you've been listening to lately. I
Okay.
saw that you put like it was a while ago on your post. You put the newest Tribe Called Quest, which I
Yeah.
feel is
Okay.
super underrated. Even though Fife didn't really have too much of a part to play in that album, I still think that album is super underrated and incredible. I'm a
Yeah.
huge. They're probably my all-time favorite rap group of all time, hip hop. So
Oh yeah.
um, it was good to see it on your page. I was like, oh shit, this.
Yeah.
It's good to see.
Yeah. It's great shit.
What do you got going on for tonight? Just hanging in or chilling out?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really watching Arrested Development right now. Uh, maybe do that. Maybe
Yeah.
play some video games.
What are you
Uh,
playing for video games right now?
Apex Legends. That's basically all I play. It's a battle royale. Um, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, and it's free, which is the biggest selling point because
Yeah.
I do not want to pay for PS Network. So
Yeah.
the fact that it's multiplayer and it's free, I mean, I can't beat that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Well, I appreciate it so much that you took the time out to do this, especially around the holidays. I know me and you aren't doing much for the holidays, but I love doing these talks, and I'm super appreciative that you took the time out to speak to me, and I wish you a happy New Year. And next time you guys are around New Hampshire, definitely hit me up because I mean I'd love to try and book a show up here. I used to book shows all the time in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, so
Hell
you
yeah.
know, worst case scenario, I could book a show in my basement. I got a nice big open, unfurnished basement right now. So if you guys ever need help or anything else, just hit me up, and I'd love to help you guys.
Awesome. Thank you. We really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, if I'm sure, when time comes and we're in New Hampshire, you'll know about it and you'll definitely have a good time and have a good conversation for sure.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and I have my pleasure. And yeah, these talks are really cool. I'm really enjoying them. So I look forward to more from you and other people. And I wish you good luck with the whole podcast. Hopefully, I'll definitely listen to that because between you and Ron, like, yeah, y'all have such a vast knowledge of stuff that I'm like, yeah, no, it's really cool. Been a part of the scene for so long and been like documenting it and like, just I don't know, it's cool, it's great. It's like a
Yeah,
perspective that is important.
yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, a lot of things get lost, and I just want to expose people to great music and great times. And there's Ron right there. Like I said, me and Ron are always talking, and he's the sponge of new music. He's the one who teaches me about all the new music. Sometimes I'll stumble upon new stuff myself, but I'm more of I'm showing him kind of the older stuff, and that's why me and him kind of mesh well together.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I could definitely see y'all having a really cool podcast, and that a lot of people would definitely probably want to listen to. So I look forward to follow the progress of that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Damian, so thank you so much for taking the time out, and I hope you have a great night. I hope you have a good New Year's. Stay safe, and like I said, if you ever need anything, reach out to me. Let's stay in contact.
Yeah,
And
sure.
I'll definitely see you when you're up in New Hampshire or Massachusetts, in New England. You guys play in New England? I'm there next time for
Oh,
sure.
we'll definitely be there. So yeah, we'll see you soon.
All
Hopefully.
right.
Take it easy. Yeah,
All right. Have a good night.
take it easy. Good. Happy New Year.
You
See ya.
too. Bye.
Bye.